Welcome to another segment of LeaderLink, linking members with mentors to learn, achieve, and succeed. I am Hunter Sparrow, and I have the pleasure of serving as your Northwest Region Vice President this year. Joining me today is Mr. Monnastes, Chapter Advisor of Envision Career Academy and the Regional Advisor of the Capital Region. Today, we will discuss a look into what advisors do for us and their crucial role in FBLA. But before we start diving deep into that topic, Mr. Monnastes, can you please tell us a little about yourself and why you became involved in FBLA?
Hi, yeah. So I'm Matt Monnastes. I am a business and marketing teacher at Envision Career Academy. I've been teaching for going on 10 years now. I came to teaching a little bit later than some, and it was after I worked in industry in the hospitality industry for quite a while. And so did that, and then I went into teaching, did my master's, and yeah, I've been in teaching for about 10 years. Like I said, I work at Envision Career Academy, which is a little bit different than a regular school. And in particular, FBLA is perfect in an environment like this because all of the real world experience. The Career Academy tries to connect students with what they're doing in the classroom to real world experiences outside of the normal building. And so FBLA does that, and it allows students to have a lot of independence in what they choose to compete in and how they network and how they communicate. And honestly, for me as an advisor, the biggest thing that FBLA does is it makes kids get out of their day-to-day and introduce themselves to other people and really build up that community and that communication skills. So
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like FBLA is really good for the networking side of things and getting members connected with not only their school more, but also their community and also learning what they might want to do in the future. Moving on to our next question, what is your favorite part about being an advisor?
Well, I really do like going out and going on the adventures of all of the different excursions that FBLA has. The fall conference where you're getting kids together for the first time, to winter conference where you get to see them compete, and then how that transpires into a state conference where you get to go and you have this experience. And honestly, the relationships and the things I get to do with students outside of school like pays dividends for what we do inside of the school because it helps us like get those little fun sayings and quirks that build that strong connection between as an advisor and a teacher and with those students. And then getting the opportunity to go to nationals is just it's such a cool experience. And so really the outside of classroom experiences really make the inside classroom experiences super valuable too.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like from a student perspective, just getting to spend time with your advisor outside of school, it really helps them set you up as like a really good mentor and a person you can come talk to like during your school day or anything like that. That's what I do with my advisor. So I feel like that a lot of students are the same way. Next up is what is your most asked question you get from members as an advisor?
I think that probably the most asked question, especially at the start of it, is like, what am I doing? What competitive events should I pick? Because there is such a mass list of all of these different events. And so I think the most common question is like, what competitive event should I pick? And then I think the follow-up question with that is they want to know what event to pick because they want to know what they need to do to get to go to state or nationals. And so there's like this like balance of picking the right event and making sure that they're going to be successful enough in the event that they get to go and get the experiences that they want. And I mean, that's what makes FBLA so exciting. So
Yeah, absolutely. And now moving further into your advisor job, especially as a regional advisor, what is it like serving as a regional advisor on like helping in the backside of those competitive events?
well, being a regional advisor has been super rewarding. At the beginning of it, it was very stressful because I kind of took over right as that thing called COVID hit. And so every time I did something, it was different than the last time. And so, there was those challenges, but the rewarding part of it is getting to watch our region grow and getting to build connections with students outside of just my own chapter. And so just getting to see that excitement transpire into other chapters and watch those chapters grow and then being able to answer questions for advisors. I'm more comfortable now with FBLA and I understand the big picture of it. I think that, with being a regional advisor, you have to dive in deeper and understand kind of how different competitive events work, how the protocols work, and then it's just really helped me as a local chapter advisor as well too. So it's great.
Absolutely. As a region VP working with all the regional advisors and working with you as well, we definitely noticed that you guys know a lot about FBLA and you're there to help not only the members, but also advisors. I feel like it's really good for members to know that regional advisors are really helping the advisors be successful for their members. And I feel like that's a really crucial role that you guys play. Next up is you kind of answered this a little bit. What is your favorite part about being a regional advisor for Washington FBLA?
I think really is watching chapters grow, right? And so like seeing that success from that first year advisor that comes in, or is maybe an advisor that's taking over an established chapter. There's always like cycles, where the chapter might decrease in size or it starts really small. Me personally, my first 3 years, I had 4 kids go to state every year. And then after a while, when we got more comfortable, then we jumped it up to 12. And now this year we have 23. And so I think getting to see how chapters grow and start to experience more and more of that success of getting those opportunities is really rewarding as a regional advisor.
Yeah, absolutely. And then moving on to our next question, what can members do to help their advisors?
I think members have to realize that it's not the advisor that does everything. In a class, when you're in math class or science class, your teacher is really, they're handing out the rubric. They're saying, okay, here's the the summary of the things that we're going to do. Here's step 1, here's step 2. Members have to realize that when you join FBLA, you are in the driver's seat and you have to be able to do that, because it helps the advisor manage all of the different things that have to happen. And so I always really try to put it back on the members to say, okay, what event are you doing? Okay, have you looked at the rubric? Like the members have to realize that they're in charge of doing those things. The advisor's there to help provide logistics and support, and maybe give feedback, but they can't be like, okay, like, what have you done? Like, let's make this together. Like, it's not like that. And so I think as members start to establish themselves, I think your success will come from when members are helping other members, not advisors doing everything for members.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like advisors, especially in Washington, are really good at that. They're really good at overseeing what the chapter does and really directing members in the right direction that they need to pass success. But really, in everything that I've noticed, it really comes down to you guys providing support for the members and then the members actualizing the work that you give them a little bit. Moving on to our next question, what is your favorite memory as both a regional advisor and as a chapter advisor?
Okay, let me think for a second. Well, I think my favorite memory was probably the Atlanta trip just in general, because I didn't realize that my chapter, so as an advisor of my local chapter, my students were taking funny pictures of me in random places that I didn't realize so they could create a book of Mattisms or whatever, because they think that I have all of these funny things that I do. And so I didn't realize that they were cataloging all of these things to then create a book that they gave me later on in the school year. And so for me, the Atlanta experience and the Atlanta trip was just a really memorable experience because it was with students that have been in FBLA now for 3 years. And that was something new because we were a newer school. And so having that long-term member really helps pay, the
Yeah,
dividends for investing in your own chapter.
yeah, absolutely.
And then I think as a regional advisor, my favorite, I don't know if it's a memory, but I think that I guess it might be a memory, being able to network specifically with the board of directors and meeting Dawn and getting to know what like the leaders behind the scene are doing, I think has been super beneficial to my understanding and growth in FBLA, and I think will be a mark on my life professionally, and it will be a long lasting memory. And with those adults I've got to connect with as well too. It's not just about students. There's a lot of adults and a lot of businesses and a lot of industries that support FBLA, and so some of the things that I've got to do as a regional advisor have been really memorable.
Yeah, I feel the same for kind of state office, getting to work with the board of advisors. So with all the regional advisors has been like a really memorable experience. You guys are always giving us really good tips, and your constructive criticism is always really cool to hear, and we always take it to heart. And it's really something that helps us grow as people and grow as leaders. So it's something that we really want to thank you guys as regional advisors and chapter advisors for doing it for us in Washington FBLA. Lastly, for fun, if you could compete in any competitive event, which one would it be and why?
Okay, so I think there would be two, and they're kind of the same. But okay, my main one I think would be public speaking. Just because I feel like I've had the most success with students in the public speaking event, just because of like the process and the feedback, and I really enjoy getting to help mentor my students as they're getting more and more confident with their speech. So I'd have to say public speaking, but there's this aspect of impromptu speaking that really is a lot of fun, and like the stress of it is pretty cool to be able to develop like a coherent speech. And it's like the gambit. Like, do I understand the topic, and can I develop um a narrative within the amount of time that I'm given? So one of those two events would be probably the probably where I'd be at.
Yeah, I've definitely fallen in love with the impromptu events. Hospitality event management is like my favorite one. I love the impromptu case studies and like coming up with something on the fly. It's my favorite thing. So I can definitely agree. Impromptu speaking, all the case studies, all everything like that is definitely one of my favorites too. Thank you so much, Mr. Monnastes, for joining me today for this interview. Washington, we can't wait to see you next time on LeaderLink. Make sure to follow at WAFBLA on Instagram to stay connected on all of our segments. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.